How's it going, my friends? Back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Nikon ZF. Yeah, I just got this thing and I got a lot to talk about. I've done 3 weddings and 6 engagement shoots with it so far, and 1 family shoot too. So I got some things to talk about with it, and I wasn't planning on selling my Z6 because I use a Z8. Actually, I'm recording with the Z8, so I use a Z8 as my main camera, and then I had a Z6 II as a backup body. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get the ZF because like everybody's been sending me DMs and asking me about reviews and things like that. And honestly, I wanted to check out the camera because it looks freaking sweet. Like it's just an amazing looking camera. So I was like, all right, I'll keep it as like a third body or whatever. I used it for the first 2 weddings, and then I listed my Z6 II for sale because honestly, for me, it fills a perfect gap in my workflow. And I just kind of want to talk about that because I feel like there's a lot of anxiety right now with people who haven't purchased the ZF that are like, okay, well, I know I want to get another camera, but the Z6 III is probably going to be coming out soon. So like, what should I do here? Because there are some major improvements with the ZF. So first off, let's just get it out of the way and just talk about the ergonomics in the body. It's not a great camera to handle all day on a wedding day, okay? Unless you have small lenses on it. Big lenses, it's a little tough, honestly. Now, as you can see here, I don't have the grip yet. It's on freaking back order. I can't get it anywhere. So I am using it without the grip. Makes obviously a huge difference when I have the grip. But it's just, I was expecting it to be a lot lighter than the Z6 II, and it really isn't. Like, you're not really saving a lot of weight. It's a very nice, all metal, very nice, well-made camera. It's solid, and so I'm not like complaining about the fact that it's not as light as the Z6 II, or not lighter than the Z6 II, because you want a camera to feel substantial. You want it to be like nice and like not feel like it's gonna fall apart, and the ZF definitely feels like that. You're not saving a whole lot on the weight of the body itself. And I'm comparing to the Z6 II. It's very like flat. Obviously the grip is different. Like the material's not grippy. You gotta really hold it in your hand. And when you're on a wedding day, and you got a flash attached to it, and you got, a lens that's bigger than this, just 40, 42, like kind of kit lens or whatever. It starts to get a little bit like, okay, let me just grab my Z8. Even though it looks really freaking cool, if you, like, one thing is if you shoot with a 35 and 85 combo, keeping the 42 on here for this as the second body and replacing that 35, then you're starting to save real size and weight. Like, it is small, this package right here. And if you like that 40 millimeter angle or, field of view or whatever, or focal length, this can be amazing. But once you start putting like, longer lenses on here, or, I couldn't even imagine using like a 50-1.2 or something like that on this. I don't even think it would work. But, maybe G lenses with adapters or something. It doesn't feel right. It's off balance. It just doesn't feel right. So pancake lenses or small ones works really, really well. All the dials, super tactile, very nice feel, all metal. I love the shutter. I'll never use any of these dials on the top. I'm not the old school guy who wants to go back to the film days or anything like that, but I totally get why people would want it, why they like it. It's an old school type of feel, and it kind of, I could see it in like my personal work, using this to kind of slow down and, just going out there and just kind of like messing with things and getting back to the roots of photography. I don't get super inspired by that because I work so much and I have so many ideas. But I'm not every shooter. Everybody with photography is different. So I like that they included it with the auto mode, so you could just set it in auto, and then you just have like the, the look of it, honestly. Because the look, okay, I don't want to get too far off track, but like the look of a camera is important, guys. Like, it really is, because you want to have cameras that make you want to go out and shoot. They like, this is our hobby, or this is our livelihood, this is our job, this is, regardless if you make money off photography or not, this is part of our personality and like what we do. And like, I'm gonna die. When I die, people are gonna be like, Will was a photographer. Like, that's what he was, you know what I mean? And so you want your cameras to kind of match your style a little bit, you know what I mean? And so this is freaking cool looking. Like, you can't deny. Like, I've already been, the first wedding that I shot with this, I was getting ready in the groom suite with the groom, and he's like, man, that camera looks cool. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, it does. It really does. And so anyways, the body is really, really nice. It's good. You know, like all the dials and the controls and the commands and the doors and everything just feels really, really good. Let's talk about the screen though. From a photographer's perspective, I hate this screen. Okay, and like if you guys saw my last Z8 video, I know I've been complaining about every single screen, and in reality, I just want to make a little caveat to my Z8 video. I was kind of saying that I didn't enjoy the screen. Now I do. After like 20 weddings or 15 or something like that with the Z8, I really like this screen. I really do. It's solid. It goes in every single articulating mode that you would need, except for coming out for selfies. But like, I use an external monitor for my my YouTube videos anyway, so I don't need a selfie screen. I get why they have this, and I get why a lot of people like it. But I just don't. I freaking hate it personally, because like when I'm looking, I don't really. I've been using the back screen like for years now, since mirrorless cameras came out, and I just like a little bit of a tilt because I don't like to hold it right at my face. I like to kind of maybe shoot from the chest area or even a little bit lower. So I like to be able to just tilt it out, and then when I go like this sideways, I'm just off axis of what I'm pointing at. In my brain, it takes a second to orient. So I don't hate it enough to be like, oh, I'd never use this camera, but I just don't freaking love it. I really don't. But I get why they did it, and a lot of people like it, so I'm not special. My opinion isn't special, but I just want to let you guys know this tilty screen to me isn't as good as the Z8. Definitely not. So that's the body. Do I mind that there's a micro SD card? No, I don't. Just backup stuff. So that's 256 gig, just stays in there. I never freaking take it out. Battery life is a little bit less good than the Z6 II, and you get more than the Z. So it's between the Z6 II and the Z8, I've found, which isn't a huge deal. I mean, it really isn't. If you're a professional photographer or any photographer, you have a million freaking batteries anyways. Yeah, it looks good. I really like the positive feel between photo and video mode when you're switching the little dial here. And then if you obviously go all the way to the right, you can get into black and white mode. That takes more of a push. So you're not going to switch into like black and white when you're trying to go into video or something like that, because it's a little bit less pressure between those. Really nice touch. I really like that. So let's talk about autofocus. Autofocus is really good, and it is better than the Z6 II for sure, but not as good as the Z8. I have it set up so my half press shutter is face tracking, and then the back button activates 3D tracking. So there is literally two tracking modes, two autofocus modes at all times without me having to switch anything. So if I'm half pressing the shutter, I'm tracking the face. And then if I press the back button focus, the 3D box comes up, and then I can, grab onto whatever I want. And then as long as I'm holding that back button, it's going to override the face that I have activated on the shutter, if that makes sense. So I have two different modes, because sometimes, with the face tracking, you guys know this, you want to focus on, there's faces in the photo, but you want to focus on hands, or you want to focus on something else, or maybe you want to focus on background and you want the subject out of focus. You have to be able to override that quick without having to go in there into your menus and switch things around. So I like having the both focus modes. But it's really fast. It's sticky. I mean, we all know about Nikon's autofocus system. It's gotten a lot better. Definitely way better than it used to be when it first started on these mirrorless cameras, but it's not as good as Sony's. You know what I mean? Sony's the king when it comes to autofocus, but it's getting a lot better. And sometimes it'll jump to the back. Sometimes you'll miss a face, you have to recompose or something like that. But is it slowing me down from a point of I'm missing shots? No, it's not. Just like you have to work it a little bit. But it's still good, and it's better than the Z6 II. So autofocus-wise, it's improved. Video autofocus is freaking amazing in this. I mean, it's really, really good. I mean, really good. Smooth, easy to override if it jumps to something else that you don't want. But video, it seems to stay on the face and the eye more than photo. And photo does well, but video, it just seems like it's just, once it's on there, man, it's on there. The stabilization it's crazy. I mean, the stabilization with video is like, it's almost like you're on a freaking gimbal. Like it's nuts, dude. Like I was at a wedding the other day. I was doing some clips or whatever, and man, it's like I was actually working with a videographer at this wedding, and he was asking me about the camera because he was shooting with Sony, and I was like, yeah, it just came out and it has 8 stops of VR, vibration reduction, and I showed it to him and he couldn't believe it, and he was on a gimbal. He's like, wow, man, like that's really, really good. So this is like this is going to be more of a video camera for me. Okay, let's talk about how this is going to fit into my workflow. So we've been doing a lot of hybrid photo video shooting, and for 2024, we're fully booked now for 2024. We just actually took our last wedding the day before yesterday. So congratulations to ourselves. Me and Sarah have worked very, very hard this year. And, we're already booked for 2024. So I'd say about 35, I haven't looked at the exact numbers, but probably 35 to 40% of those weddings are going to be, probably closer to 40% are going to be hybrid photo and video. So I need a setup to where I have a photo camera and a video camera dedicated. I prefer that than having to switch in and out of photo modes on the same one. Because the Z8 can, hot cards, things like that. I mean, I have, since I've gotten Delkin cards, I haven't really experienced a hot card warning. But I kind of like, just for my brain, I like to have one camera for video on a zoom lens, and then I like to have my, photo camera separately. So this is going to be my video camera just because of how amazing the VR is and the low light. I mean, literally, you can shoot over 8,000 ISO with no problem. I mean, I'm talking 10,000 ISO plus. You're not even getting that degradation of the colors. It still looks amazing. I can't believe the tech in this nowadays. It's just, I don't know, it just seems wild, like how good it is nowadays. So low light performance and autofocus performance and the stabilization performance, you can't beat this for a video camera. So I'm going to use this as my hybrid setup, and then my Z8 is going to be the hardcore run and gun, photo, flash, all that stuff. So that's how it's going to be fit into my workflow. Now, would I advise people, if say you have a Z6 II, and you want to upgrade, you want better autofocus or whatever, would I say, go out and wait for the Z6 III or get this? I would say it's all about your preference. If you do a lot of flash, you have flash on here, mounts your camera, you have big lenses you want to use, I'd probably wait for the Z6 III, honestly, or I'd only get one of these and then get a Z6 III. But brings back more of the joy of shooting to me, because it's more, if you want to use smaller lenses and you're doing a lot of video, it's more of a tactile feel. It looks cool. It's fun, more fun to shoot with than the Z6 II. And I assume the Z6 II is going to have the same form factor as the Z6 III, so you kind of compare it that way. But it's not an expensive camera. I mean, it's only $2,000 just for the body, so it's not like it's a massive investment. As far as I know, there's not even any for sale on eBay yet. I mean, these things are selling like hotcakes. They said at the camera store where I bought it, they were like, man, these things are flying off the shelf. So I would say if you want to have a body dedicated with a smaller lens and you're not going to be doing a ton of flash with it, get one of these, because it is fun as hell to use, and it's a great freaking camera with amazing image quality, low light performance. But like I said, if you're going to have one of these as your main body with you're going to be using flash, you're going to be using big lenses, you're going to be using zooms, things like that, I'd probably hold off for the Z6 III. But everything is majorly improved on the internals here, which is, thank you, Nikon, for doing that. So hopefully this review was helpful. I know there's probably going to be some questions. My reviews are a little bit different than the stuff you normally see on YouTube. I talk about it from more of a working professional's perspective, rather than like, hey, let's go get into the nitty-gritty of the specs. How is this thing on an actual job? Do I want to carry it around all day? Does it make me want to go out and take more photos? And I think I answered those questions. So if you have anything else, leave them in the comments. And until the next video, my friends.